Hello, my friends. How are you all? I hope you're all well. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, subscribe to my channel and it would help me a lot. Welcome. My name is Herman, and today I really want to talk to you about some of my all-time favorite classics. Classic literature endures not because it is old, but because it continues to feel alive. The best classics are not relics of the past. They're conversations that never ended. They ask questions we still struggle to answer, introduce characters who feel real long after the final page, and offer insights that shift depending on when and who you are when you read them. This list brings together 10 novels that have not only shaped literary history, but continue to influence how we think about identity, morality, love, power, and meaning. These books vary in style and difficulty, but they share one essential quality. They stay with you. Whether you're new to classic literature or revisiting it with fresh eyes, these works offer a powerful and rewarding journey. I have here some recommendations that I would really like to share with you. I hope you enjoy this list. Let's go. Number 10. The Lord of the Rings by Tolkien. At first glance, The Lord of the Rings appears to be a grand fantasy epic, but its lasting power comes from something much deeper. Tolkien created not just a story, but an entire mythological framework, one that feels as layered and lived in as real history. The journey of Frodo Baggins, tasked with destroying the One Ring, is deceptively simple. Yet the emotional weight of that journey, its exhaustion, fear, and quiet perseverance, is what defines the narrative. The burden of the ring is not just physical. It represents temptation, corruption, and the slow erosion of self. What makes Tolkien's work extraordinary is its moral clarity combined with emotional nuance. Good and evil exist, but they are not simplistic. Characters struggle, falter, and grow. Even the smallest individuals, hobbits, overlooked and underestimated, become central to the fate of the world. At its core, the novel is about resilience. It suggests that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to continue despite it. That message continues to resonate in every generation. Number 9. The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Few novels divide readers as much as The Catcher in the Rye, and that division is precisely what gives it its power. Through the voice of Holden Caulfield, Salinger captures a state of mind that is both deeply specific and universally recognizable. Holden is not a traditional hero. He is cynical, inconsistent, and often difficult to sympathize with. Yet beneath his criticism of the phoniness around him lies a profound vulnerability, a fear of growing up, of losing innocence, of becoming part of a world he does not trust. The novel's strength lies almost entirely in its voice. It feels immediate, unfiltered, and emotionally raw. There is very little conventional plot. Instead, the story unfolds as a psychological portrait of a young man in crisis. What keeps readers returning to this book is how differently it reads at different stages of life. For some, Holden represents truth and resistance. For others, he reflects immaturity and avoidance. The novel does not offer answers. It simply presents a perspective that is impossible to ignore. Number 8. Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Crime and Punishment is not just a novel. It is an intense psychological and philosophical examination of morality. Dostoevsky places readers inside the mind of Raskolnikov, forcing them to experience the consequences of his actions from the inside out. Raskolnikov commits a crime, believing himself intellectually justified, subscribing to the idea that certain individuals exist beyond conventional moral boundaries. However, what follows is not empowerment, but disintegration. His mind becomes a battleground of guilt, fear, pride, and denial. The novel dismantles the illusion that reason alone can define right and wrong. It suggests that morality is not an abstract concept, but something deeply tied to human emotion and conscience. What makes the book so powerful is its refusal to simplify. It does not present clear heroes or villains. Instead, it explores the messy, often contradictory nature of human behavior. Redemption, if it exists, is neither easy nor guaranteed. Number 7. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Jane Eyre is both a deeply personal narrative and a quietly radical one. At a time when female characters were often defined by passivity, Jane emerges as a figure of independence, moral clarity, and emotional strength. Her journey is not just about love, but about self-respect. When faced with choices that would compromise her integrity, Jane refuses, even at great personal cost. This insistence on dignity makes her one of the most compelling protagonists in classic literature. Her relationship with Mr. Rochester is complex and far from idealized. It is shaped by power imbalances, hidden truths, and ethical dilemmas that challenge both characters. Beyond its romantic elements, the novel explores issues of class, gender inequality, and personal freedom. Its emotional depth and psychological realism continue to resonate strongly with modern readers. Number 6. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Elegant, concise, and deeply symbolic, The Great Gatsby captures the spirit and the emptiness of the American dream. Jay Gatsby is a character built on illusion. Everything about him, his wealth, his persona, his past, is constructed in pursuit of a single desire, to reclaim a lost love. Yet the more he reaches for that ideal, the more it slips away. Fitzgerald's prose is precise and evocative, creating a world that feels both glamorous and hollow. Beneath the surface lies a critique of ambition, materialism, and the belief that the past can be rewritten. The novel's brevity is deceptive. Despite its length, it leaves a lasting emotional and intellectual impact. Number 5. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Through the eyes of Scout Finch, To Kill a Mockingbird presents a story that is both intimate and socially significant. Set in the American South, the novel addresses racism and injustice through the trial of a black man falsely accused of crime. At the center is Atticus Finch, whose quiet integrity and moral courage make him one of literature's most enduring figures. What sets the book apart is its perspective. By filtering complex issues through a child's understanding, it achieves a rare balance of simplicity and depth. The novel does not rely on dramatic complexity. It relies on emotional truth. And that truth continues to resonate across generations. Number 4. Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Moby Dick is often seen as intimidating, but at its heart lies a simple and powerful theme: obsession. Captain Ahab's pursuit of the white whale is relentless and all-consuming. What begins as a quest for revenge transforms into something far more symbolic: a struggle against fate, nature, and the limits of human control. The novel's structure is unconventional, blending narrative with detailed explorations of whaling and philosophy. While this can make it challenging, it also gives the book its unique depth. Melville is less interested in telling a straightforward story and more interested in exploring ideas. What does it mean to pursue something at any cost? When does determination become self-destruction? For readers willing to engage with its complexity, Moby Dick becomes an experience rather than just a story. Number 3. 1984 by George Orwell. 1984 remains one of the most unsettling and relevant novels ever written. Orwell's vision of a totalitarian society is not frightening because it is extreme, but because it feels plausible. The world of Big Brother is built on surveillance, propaganda, and the manipulation of reality itself. Language is controlled, history is rewritten, and individuality is systematically erased. Winston Smith's quiet rebellion is both personal and political. His struggle raises fundamental questions about truth, freedom, and the nature of resistance. The novel forces readers to confront an uncomfortable possibility: what happens when truth is no longer objective? Number 2. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Few novels balance wit, romance, and social insight as perfectly as Pride and Prejudice. While often described as a love story, its true focus is on perception, how we see others, and how those perceptions can be wrong. Elizabeth Bennet stands out as a protagonist for her intelligence, independence, and self-awareness. Her relationship with Mr. Darcy evolves not through dramatic events, but through reflection, growth, and a gradual dismantling of prejudice on both sides. Austen's writing is sharp and observant, offering subtle critiques of class, gender roles, and social expectations. What makes the novel endure is its emotional honesty. It reminds us that understanding others begins with questioning our own assumptions. Number 1. Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. Often described as the first modern novel, Don Quixote is far more than a literary milestone. It is a deeply human story about illusion, purpose, and a fragile boundary between imagination and reality. The novel follows Alonso Quixano, a man who consumes so many tales of chivalry that he loses himself within them, re-emerging as Don Quixote, a self-proclaimed knight determined to revive a world that no longer exists. Accompanied by Sancho Panza, whose grounded practicality contrasts sharply with Quixote's idealism, the pair journey through a series of misadventures that are at once comedic and quietly tragic. The brilliance of a novel lies in its ambiguity. Is Don Quixote delusional? Or is he the only one brave enough to see the world not as it is, but as it could be? His famous battle with windmills, mistaken for giants, is often read as pure comedy, yet it also symbolizes the human tendency to impose meaning on a chaotic world. Cervantes invites readers to question the nature of reality itself. If identity is shaped by the stories we believe, then how different are we from Quixote? This tension between illusion and truth is what gives the novel its enduring relevance. Why these books endure? These novels continue to be read not simply because they are classics, but because they remain relevant. They explore questions that do not disappear with time. What is truth? How do we define ourselves? Can people truly change? What gives life meaning? They challenge readers, provoke thought, and often reveal new layers with each rereading. Where to start? If you're new to classic literature, begin with more accessible works like Pride and Prejudice or The Great Gatsby. For something more thought-provoking, try 1984 or To Kill a Mockingbird. When you're ready for a deeper challenge, explore Moby Dick or Crime and Punishment. These 10 books are not just widely read, they are deeply remembered. They have shaped literature, influenced culture, and continue to resonate because they speak to something essential in the human experience. If you're looking for stories that truly matter, this is where to begin. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave your book recommendations in the comments.